Right.
So yes, we were going on, and we lost
Yes.
a bit a point that I really wanted to touch, and it was interesting question you asked, like why I'm doing what I'm doing, because not only I create art and share with others, create it for exhibitions and whatsoever, and I sell my art as well.
Yes.
But I also started to engage in mental health organizations and charities and deliver events with the focus on mental health. And why I started to do it, because at some point it was in lockdown, just before the lockdown, I realized that, I have a problem. Let's face it, I am ill and I feel misunderstood and I feel very alone. And I started to search for people like me. And I call it, and even a lot of people took that term from me, I found my tribe.
Yes.
So my tribe are like-minded people who may have lived experience of any mental health illness or may do art, whatever it is, they work for me because I feel the belonging. I needed that belonging because I feel like a weirdo most of the time. Okay? And people even say that I'm a bit weirdo because of my illness. And I don't want to feel weirdo all the time. So finding like-minded people provided me a community that I belong to.
Where you find somewhere where you belong. Even finding your tribe, like over the last few years, I've heard of that so many times, like, like go where you belong, find your tribe. Because there's nothing worse than being in this world, this big world that we come from, and you feel lost. You feel like you don't belong. You feel like people don't understand you. Because I think even that kind of aspect of things can trigger even like things within your head to be like, yo, am I going crazy? Am I not good enough? Like, what is going on in this world? You can even, like you said, you can even feel lonely. And one of the things that I realized as well, like, you can actually be in a relationship, you can have a big family, but if you feel like you cannot communicate with your partner or like with certain people like around you like that, you can have a big family, you can be married for years, but if you feel like you cannot, like your opposite sex, your partner doesn't really understand what's going on, and if you feel that you cannot communicate with them like that as well, you can still feel lonely. I realized that as well, because even my last relationship, it got to a point where it's like I felt like I'm a very open book. I like to think I'm a very open book. I'm transparent, but I just got to a point when I was dealing with my own stuff as well. But like I said, I'm originally from a very big family, very very good people, but I felt like some people I was speaking to about some of my issues, even like my partner here and there, I felt like they just didn't really understand to a certain degree, and also you get, as a man, you get this stigma of like, you should
Man up, yeah.
You should try to be strong and do all of these things.
Which
So
is bullshit.
yeah, so it felt one of the weirdest times I've ever gone through, where it's like I had all of these people around me, but at the same time I felt so lonely.
Yeah, kind of logical. Imagine that there is a doctor and a car mechanic, right? And explain to the doctor something in a car mechanic language.
Yes.
They will not fucking get it, right? And opposite, right? Even we sometimes don't get the jargon of medicine, right?
For real, that's absolutely true.
So imagine now that there is a person who has mental health illness and who never experienced mental health illness.
Yes.
We are talking different languages.
Because they don't get it. How are they meant to understand it?
But how would they?
Yeah.
And it's fair enough. It's like it's nothing to judge them by, because it's normal not to understand, because if you never experience anything like that, there is no way you will understand. There are no words to it. And mental health in particular, it's not a subject that is easily verbally explained. That is why I think that art, all forms of art, comes very handy to help others understand how it may feel for us to be ill. But you are right. When you are ill, it's an invisible illness, right? So everybody perceives you like, well, there's nothing wrong with you. You have 2 hands, 2 legs. It's like, go on, jump over that hurdle. That's it.
Real talk. That's exactly that. And even when people say like mental health begins with childhood traumas, right? Like, do you think, what are you with that? Do you feel like also like, some of your issues as well, began through your childhood, or had some, like, your childhood had something to do with that, or just it was because of obviously like when you hit adulthood, that's when some things started happening.
My problem started when I was a teenager. I was
Okay.
about 15 when I had my first depressive episode.
Okay.
I was perceived as I'm just lazy. I just, I'm young.
Yeah.
I have no bills to pay, no worries. I should be happy. It's like I was, and I was perceiving it as people don't understand that. I was like, I would like. Don't you want to be happy, for fuck's sake? Of course I want to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy. Is it not the goal of our life?
Life is to be happy and to try to live your best life as far as I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what when you can't? When there is something inside you that really sabotages it? Because bipolar is in particular very weird illness. So you have massive depressive episodes, to the extent that suicidal and kind of non-existence, right?
Yes.
And then you have another spectrum, another polarity, that it's mania.
Okay.
And when you're in mania, you
Yeah.
are like a hamster in a wheel. Okay?
Yeah.
Your brain goes on and on. You do 10,000 projects. I certainly do. But that is why we have those projects, because I usually deliver them when I'm manic. So then I can be like a superwoman.
Yeah.
But there is that feeling of being a superwoman. There is a feeling of feeling so great. I love my mania. Don't get me wrong. Like, people are saying like, didn't you say something is wrong? I love feeling like that.
Yeah.
I feel alive. But everything has its price. Because when the manic episode lasts a bit longer, then paranoia kicks in. Lack of sleep is exhausting. I remember there was an episode when I haven't slept in 10 days. Yeah, imagine that. I wasn't a very nice person then. So although I may be manic, I am becoming irritable. And all bipolar people say that anger in particular is the feeling that is overshadowing everything.
Everything.
You feel angry all the time. And okay, I try to manage it, but if you trigger me, that anger erupts in a nasty way, and sometimes on people that are innocent. But I had a very good childhood. 2 loving parents, spent whole life together. I was daddy girl, and everything was fine. Although I was perceived from a very young age as shy and very withdrawn.
Okay.
They were perceiving it as shy, but I don't know why it was. However, in teenage years, when the depression hit, and back then in Poland in particular, there was no awareness of youth mental health whatsoever. You were asked, you're young, you should be happy, you should live your life. Come on, get up and off you go, right?
Same as in where I come from, like I said, outside in Africa, it wasn't...
Yeah, culturally very similar, I must say.
Yeah.
I am hoping that it's changing in Africa, and I think it changed a bit in Poland.
Because of social media, yes. But I feel like for me, in my country, I feel like we still have a very, very long way to go. Yeah. But I feel like slowly, I think it's better than obviously the way it was like a good 20 years ago. But yeah, I feel like we've still got a very long way. But hopefully.
Yeah, but the trauma. Yeah. I believe that trauma has a huge impact on your life and your illnesses, in particular mental illnesses. Yeah. So I have experienced trauma. I have been subjected to domestic violence for many years. I escaped that relationship. I was here with 2 little boys on my own, having no one, being homeless, and you name it. So there was a lot of trauma there. And I believed that from that moment, my mental health really started to go downhill. And then there was another trauma, near-death experience, right? I had fire in the house. My child almost died in the fire. I'm laughing, but this is a kind of nervous laugh, not that I, make it not important. Then, there was death of my dad in lockdown. Can you imagine losing your beloved dad and not being able to say goodbye? Because we were in lockdown? That was, awful. And so on and so forth. So yes, the trauma has impact, but not all mental health problems originate from trauma. Because like I said, my childhood was happy childhood. Yeah. Loving family. And I don't know why I developed, my condition.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Do you think that sometimes, like, obviously we don't, we live in England, but originally we're from a different country, right? Do you sometimes feel like if you stayed in your country and if some circumstances were different, maybe mentally you would have been in a better place moving forward?
Who knows? But it's like this kind of what if thinking is a dangerous path, really, because we don't know.
Yeah,
We
that's
really
true.
can't know.
Yeah.
We can't predict. I think being here opened doors for me to be a single mom. I wouldn't be able to raise my boys on my own in Poland.
Okay.
So there are a lot of advantages, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think it does not really depend on the place you live in, but on who you have around. You know, having people who understand and can support you. And I will give you an example. It's like there was one particular maniac episode, the first such an extreme one that I had a year ago, that I didn't really understand what's going on with me.
Yeah.
And the only person who was able to help me, it was another person with bipolar condition, lovely friend of mine, Dave from America, with whom I co-editor a book. Because, I could call him even in the middle of the night and say like, look, this and this is happening, what the fuck is going on? And he said like, this could be symptom of this or that, this, don't worry, you are not going, you have mental illness, but this is typical for bipolar,
These are the symptoms
this
for
is how
bipolar.
you could help to overcome it and whatsoever. And there is and it's speaking to someone who has a bipolar, it's like they don't ridicule me, they don't look weirdly at me, they understand.
That's the key word, because they understand, because they're going through the same kind of situation as well. And like now, do you like are you like in therapy at the moment? When was the last time you done therapy? And are you doing therapy at the moment?
Well, I tried many therapies across the the decade. And
how was that?
Mainly bad, mainly very bad.
What made for you, like what made them like in terms of like for them to not, like in terms of not working, what do you think, like the therapist that you had before, why do you think like they did not work?
This is the problem of if you have an IQ
Yeah.
in a particular level, you know exactly and you can evaluate, and this does not bring you friends, certainly not in those professionals. So I think that it's like with a friendship.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you have friends, or why are you not friends with everyone in your neighborhood?
Yeah.
Because not everyone is for you.
Yeah, not everybody's for you. And we can, intimate relationships, friendships, even like in partnerships as well, like business-wise, whatever.
Yeah.
Like not everybody can literally just connect.
Exactly. And the same with therapists. A therapist is a person, and I am a person with own characteristics that may clash, right? And you need to find a person who is your person, like, because it's a relationship, like you said. I'm telling therapists the shit that I wouldn't tell to my closest lovers and partners and whatsoever, right?
So it must be, it must work. And for you, and sometimes, obviously, when I speak about this, it's mainly with my male friends. Like, do you think it matters where if like the therapy that you get if it's a man or a woman? Do you think sometimes that plays a part?
Sometimes it may, because people may have certain issues, like let's say that somebody went through some sexual assault or whatever, right? They probably would do better with a lady or the same sex, just because of the triggers. But to me, it doesn't matter. The key for the therapist to be my therapist, because I am very careful using possessive pronoun, to be my therapist, you need to be a human, to have a heart and to listen. Do not have a God syndrome, do not talk over me, do not twist my words. Because if you do, then you are a fucker who should be out of here.
But here, it's absolutely right. And you've got different styles, innit, of therapies and whatnot.
Yes.
Even what I wanted to slowly just kind of like go back to your books, because you've got some amazing looking books. I cannot wait to get into them. Like overall, like, like in future, what would you like overall, these books to do? Like, like in future for people, like what would you like to see your books do?
Well, I am doing them to provide people with access to talking about mental health in different way. My books mainly feature my experience. So I used to say that this that I have bipolar doesn't mean that I speak for every bipolar, obviously. But this is how my mind works.
Yes.
And it provides a bit of insight into anybody else's mind with illness, right? I am never trying to say that, you know, the experiences are exactly the same, because they are not. But this is what I want from those books, that people find comfort, that people reading them and watching those images will feel like, oh my God, yes, this is how I feel. And it's so good to see that, you know, somebody else, because when
Can't relate.
Exactly.
I'm not going crazy. Or you understand. Yeah. Oh, thank God. You see that feeling, like we said outside?
Yeah.
Priceless, honestly.
Exactly. And you know, having people coming to my exhibition, and I had lady bursting into tears, and I ran over to her and it's like, what's going on? And she's like, oh my God, never ever seen anything like that. This is like you were in my head. And this is what I want to achieve. I want others with mental illness to feel that they are not alone.
Yeah.
That others do go similar things, and everybody copes differently. But we need that comfort. For some reason, knowing that we are not alone, it's comforting, isn't it?
That's priceless. That's absolutely priceless. I've been a victim of it myself, like, you know, like self-medication, like I said as well, you know, drinking, smoking, because I thought like that could, obviously at the time, I thought that was helping, because, you know, like obviously, you know, when you're drinking and you're drunk, when you're smoking weed and you're high, you know, it's like, it compresses, it makes you forget like about whatever problems you're dealing with, but for that specific time, because once the weed wears off, you're back to reality again. Once, you know, the alcohol wears off the next morning, you're back to, you know, reality.
It's a temporary solution, you know, we know that.
Yeah. What do you think some people, for you personally, like in general, obviously, I'm not saying speaking for the whole world, but just in general, in your personal opinion, innit? Why do you feel like some people, you know, why do you feel like some people run to, you know, to drugs rather than actually seeking some type of help? If you go to understand, what do you think of that for you personally?
Well, what do you expect?
Yeah.
If you need help and that help is not provided timely, you need some temporary solution, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you have a headache, you will take a painkiller. You know, mental illness is associated with pain. Okay, this pain is invisible and it doesn't respond to paracetamol or ibuprofen, but doesn't you know, make it any smaller or any less inconvenient to feel that pain. So of course you will try to find whatever measure that gives you even temporary short-term release. You know, it's like I used, you know, all possible self-medication myself throughout life, and people also ask me like, why did you have a spliff, for example? Because for 20 to 30 minutes I had peace of mind. I had peace.
My mind just slowed down. It's like it just kind of slowed down, and I was just like in this bubble, like, you know.
And sometimes I perceive it is better for that than for me to lash out on someone.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So I don't blame people who self-medicate. I'm not saying that it's the way, and I certainly know that I can't be using those to help in long term. But sometimes it's like, come on, if you don't have mental health and you had crappy day, or your girlfriend, you know, dump you, wouldn't you sit with a drink?
Yeah.
And then it's justifiable. If I'm sitting with a drink because I am crying my eyes out because I feel like I don't want to be here anymore on this planet,
very true,
then I am a bad person because I'm sabotaging my well-being. Is that person not sabotaging their well-being? Drinking alcohol is not good in whatever state, right?
Yes.
But this is what I don't understand. There is no justice. There is such a discrepancy between how we treat usage of drugs when people are healthy, and completely different when they have mental health issues. Why they are more vulnerable to it?
More vulnerable. Looking at it, if people have to wait for a very, very long time for them to get help, 12 months, 18 months, during that period of people waiting for so long, surely people should understand, like like in terms of coping, that's why also some people go to alcohol and smoking drugs, because they feel like if they don't do that while they wait or to cope, some people might even end up going even more crazy, even end up, just taking their lives. So it's like, sometimes I think, yeah, we need to be very, very careful when talking about self-medication, because that shows you if a person is going to like drink or like taking drugs for self-medication, the first thing that we should ask ourselves is like, how long has this person been going through this?
Yeah.
And like, is there some, like, how come there's not some type of like help to kind of help them? What's led this person into like going on this route of just like self-medicating? Because let's face it, even speaking for myself once again, like me, when I turned to self-medication, drinking and smoking, I felt like there was nowhere to go. Like I couldn't afford private therapy.
You hit the wall.
Yeah,
what
I
else
literally
should you do? You had no other means to use.
And one of the worst things as well to do is like, God forbid, if you live by yourself as well, like you can imagine when you close those doors and you're behind those four walls, it's like it could get very, very lonely and you're in your own world. For me, I felt like I was going crazy, and I felt like to slow down the thinking, all of these things that were going through my head.
You wanted it to stop. You wanted your head to stop talking that bullshit to you, right? And alcohol and drugs help you for a moment. And it's like, come on, let's not judge. Let's perceive it as cry for help and as kind of powerlessness. I don't know what else can I do. I need a relief. And nobody is giving it to me, so I will find one. Simple as that.
Literally. And